Debt ceiling concerns. Add that to the mix. Another layer to this sell-off. Democrats are now proposing to increase the debt limit through December 2022. And joining us now for an exclusive interview on all of these concerns is former Treasury Secretary Jack Lew. You know, when I was thinking about you coming on, Jack, today, I was remembering that you were the director of the OMB back in 2011. The last time we had a huge scare, we got closer than ever to a U.S. default. We got a U.S. downgrade of our debt. Having any deja vu moments right now?
The memories of being near the edge of a crisis on the debt limit are not good memories. And, you won't be surprised, Sarah, to know that my view is that the sooner the better in terms of Congress dealing with this, because it's just a self-inflicted wound if we end up with any turbulence in the economy or in terms of confidence in the United States because of a failure to do what should be a ministerial act. All the decisions about spending were made already. This is not a question of future spending. It's a question of past commitments that were made. So, my view is the sooner the better. It should be something that's done on a bipartisan basis. And I hope that can happen.
Well, I think it's everybody's view, the sooner the better. It's just a matter of getting it done. I don't understand why the Democrats can't just do this. They have enough votes. Why can't they just get it done and prevent a default, which would not be good, on their hands?
Well, procedurally, it's not quite that simple. In the Senate, if you were to take a vote on the debt limit, it could be subject to what's called a vote on cloture, a filibuster, and that then requires 60 votes. So it's not a straight path to do
this. But they could attach it to it. They could attach it to their reconciliation bill, to an aid bill around hurricanes, which has been discussed. Can't they?
Well, the aid bill for hurricanes would be an appropriation bill, and that also could be subject to 60 votes. Reconciliation is moving now on a separate track. This is something that needs to be done. It needs to be done without the kind of delay that causes problems, even if you end up doing it in the end, because of the anxiety that you create, and frankly, what it does to the reputation of stability in the United States and our systems. I lived through a number of episodes. They never end well for those who are trying to block extending the debt limit to make a point. It's the idea that the United States would default is unthinkable, and nobody should be treating it as anything other than that.
Very quickly, though, percentage chance of default, very, very low?
Look, in the end, I think we've seen in the 1990s and 2011 and 13 the decision I have to believe will be made to extend the debt limit. I can't tell you exactly the pathway from here to there, but it takes votes, and they should just put it up for a vote. It should pass.
Pivoting to another topic, Mr. Secretary, I wanted to ask about China. Clearly, certain members of its property sector facing a lot of pressure at the moment. In fact, the whole property sector probably is. Do you think that the Chinese government will step in if necessary to bail them out? And perhaps more importantly, do you think that they have ample ammunition to do so? Or could there be more pressure under the surface for the Chinese government than perhaps people have really realized in recent years?
Wilf, I know looking back over the last number of years, many questions have been raised about whether there was excessive lending in some sectors like real estate. I think China is trying to decide where to let market forces work their will and where to step in to try and insulate the economy. I think what's confusing it is that in the last few months, China has taken regulatory actions that didn't seem to be driven by the kind of traditional economic considerations. They seem to be more politically driven. And I think they're going to have to manage this situation carefully. We saw, back in, towards the end of my time at Treasury, when they made some kind of clumsy moves to try and deal with market volatility, that it kind of backfired. They need to be clear in terms of how they are thinking about the overall policy. And frankly, there needs to be communication. The lack of full communication between the United States and China is something that I find worrisome at a moment like this. I know I was in constant touch with my counterparts when things like these questions came up in the past. I hope that's happening now, but from the outside, it doesn't appear to be quite at the same level.
Who do you fault the Biden administration for that? The Treasury Department? Who should be making sure that happens? Because so far their posture has been to be tough on China and to gang up with some of our allies against China.
I don't think being tough is the same as not having open lines of communication, and it goes both ways. I've seen China less open to the kinds of conversations that used to go on traditionally. So I'm actually not pointing a finger. I'm talking about the need for there to be lines of communication that work well, and particularly at moments of stress.